Hey you guys, it is 11:17 and I think it's a Tuesday here on the West Coast. I want to finish up, or at least start, my part 2 of the Pirates. This just takes so many roads and turns and twists, so I'm going to try to break it up into sections, and I'm going to be doing little snippets and hopefully putting it all together. So my last Pirates video, Pirates 1, we talked about Blackbeard and a lot of the X's we saw, a lot of the symbols. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to start with decoding a little bit of the Blackbeard and also 1734. We're just going to start with this. One little bite at a time is all I can do to start showing this and breaking it down. Oh, and of course we can't forget that this is a Time Life book. So keep that in mind. We're not just going into the book, but we're decoding what all of this means. Thanks, Time Life. Okay, so this is just going to be our part 2A, because I'm going to break it down little bits. But so here's the Pirates. We're going to look at some anagrams for the words pirates. So pirate is IT rape. Pirates is rapist, like electronics. So E for electronics. IE traps, that's Internet Explorer. And P satire could be for pirate satire. So talk about us being in theaters, huh? So IP theaters, or PI, the private investigator, like they're not staring at everything we do. And then reshape it, T. So T can be time, and time equals telecommunications, information and technology, media and electronics. And if you stick with me, I'm going to show you some things. So we're going to look at the word, well, not the word code. We'll get to that later, but so remember that very first part of the book, of the cover that I showed you. It was Blackbeard. And in gematria, Blackbeard equals, those are the numbers. Remember 59. But the anagram for Blackbeard is B dark cable, and that looks like a dark cable. And in gematria, Blackbeard equals Black Mamba. And whose nickname was Black Mamba? It was Kobe, right? But what looks like a black cable also? That's 5G. But also, the anagram for Blackbeard is cabled bark. And look at the telephone towers. That looks like cabled bark. And Blackbeard and Black Mamba both equal 59. Black Mamba also equals 100. This is a section that I'm just adding. I wanted to show you some of the words that also are equal to 100. It's Bible code, fire, Black Mamba, C as in holy C maybe, or C's candy, who knows, C, one eye, who knows, global, OO, I'll get into that later in another video, magician, art, I'm China, and grid. So these are just some things that also have the numerical equivalent of 100. And the letter T is equal to 100 in Jewish gematria. The English it's 120, but in simple gematria, the letter T, which we weren't really covering, but the letter T actually equals 20, and that is Kabbalah, caged, and feed. So these all equal. So the black mamba is 100 and also 59. And breathe is 59. And in the Jewish gematria, it's 201. And QAnon is 201 also, just like in the event 201. And Black is King is 201. And Flatline is 201. But face mask also equals 59, as does Black Mamba, Global, Magician, so it's C as in Holy See, Fire, Bible Code, Face Mask, Breathe, like I Can't Breathe, and the event 201. And the Bible code is very significant in all this as well. So Blackbeard is a pirate that maybe if someone asked you about who do you think of pirates, who do you think of? So most people think of Blackbeard, or who else?
Yeah. Say you're a codfish.
I'm a codfish. I'm a codfish!
Okay, I showed you that little Disney clip for a reason, and here is a Bill Gates Microsoft deposition. This is in 2018, but this is what he says.
Does increasing IE's share on Mac make it more likely that content providers will want to use IE?
I don't know what you mean by content providers using IE.
You don't know what
Content providers use servers. They don't use clients.
Do you know what content providers are?
Yes.
Give me an example of a content provider. Disney? Disney would be a content provider. Disney is an important content provider, correct, sir?
Now you're going to have to give me some context.
Without me giving you some context, you can't answer the question as to whether Disney is an important content provider. Is that your testimony under oath?
Important in what sense?
Important in the everyday, common usage sense of what important means. Mr. Bush, I think probably the word content providers was not used, but the word content.
Okay, so they both agreed that Disney is an important content provider. So we're going to look a little bit into Disney and some of their symbols, and more than just that though. Look at that. There's Captain Hook. Captain Hook with his little X's, holding his little clock. And it even says right here, Hook is a codfish. Boy, they sure like their time. Look at that. So pay attention. So here we've got the little crocodile making a V. Here's Captain Hook above some clock, like the tick-tock clock. And the word conduit equals cod unit, ITUN cod, Information Technology United Nations, and that looks like the black conduit. And remember when I showed you the time-lapse books inside, they were talking about Blackbeard, and they mentioned that they gave the date of 1734. So 1734 equals Freemasons of the Illuminati, or fast body vibrations. Now, if anyone is being, if you know about the frequencies of 5G, they can tell you how it makes your body feels like it's vibrating. So 5G is a dark cable. That's what they wrap the fiber optics in. And 17 equals NWO, which means New World Order, and 34 is a lie. So you've got the NWO lie going on with this date. So 17 equals NWO. We all know what that stands for. And NWO, also the symbol gematria is 52, the number. And 52 equals black cable, devil, pope, gates, NWO, 6, abracadabra, corona, and number 17 equals Q. So you know how they're always talking about the plan. Now the Bible plays into a lot of what is going on right now. It all is coded. Everything is coded. So when we look at the codes, coding, which cod, fish, cod as in Captain Hook, cod is also short for code. And when you look at Q, which is a huge phenomenon, Q is 70-102. And remember event 102? Well, you turn it around, it's 201, right? Everything is black or white and forward is backwards. So Q is 17. And 17 is hidden. And also what's important is hidden is also 44. Okay guys, so we're going to get back to 44 later, but right now I want to look at the word cod. See, everyone thinks of it as a fish, but when we look at another dictionary here, Merriam-Webster, it's cod, and it's short. Let's see where to go. So here's to curve, arch. So to curve, arch. Could that be also like flatten the curve? Remember that? So cod. So we're going to look at the word code also. I'm moving down to number 4 here to the right side. It says a system of secret writing in which letters, figures, etc. are arbitrarily given certain meanings. And I'm skipping down to the word codex, and it says in archaic, a code, volume of statutes, manuscript, volume, especially of scriptures, or of a classic text, abbreviated COD, C-O-D. Now we're going to bring up our little friend Mr. Gates again, and this is why I'm trying to look at words and meanings and how they really do a lot of wordsmithing, and we'll get into that later also, because it plays into all this content provider, how they use and how they look at words. And I think that we need to be a little bit more savvy on what they are meaning and how they twist things. So I'm going to let Bill show you, just kind of show you how they think.
The common meanings that those words could have, and then you can pick one of them and ask me a question about it.
No,
It can mean Do you want me to define proprietary API or
No,
not?
I don't want you to define proprietary API. I didn't ask you to define proprietary API. I asked you a simple question as to whether the term proprietary API was commonly used in your business. Now, I'm prepared to sit here as long as you want to answer questions that I haven't asked.
Now look how frustrating he's getting that the guy who's doing the deposition. Let's continue. I might have lost my place, but let's go.
But I have a certain number of questions that I'm going to ask at the end of these other answers. Now, this is a simple question. You can say yes, no, or it is used in lots of different ways. But then I can choose what to follow up on. Or you can simply make whatever statements you want, and I'll go back to my question afterwards. Does Windows include APIs that are written in what is described as a form or version of Java, but not pure Java?
Okay, let's stop here. Let's stop here. I'm going to look at another place to be a little bit more specific.
You're talking about the language?
If you don't understand the question, Mr. Gates, you can simply say you don't understand the question.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't understand the question.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is get on the record what you say you understand, what you say you don't understand.
Yeah, anytime.
Would you read the answer back, please? Or the no, I'm not talking about the language. If by the language you mean all the things that you said about the Java language when we were talking about Java yesterday. How does making your APIs popular with developers relate to obtaining control of Java? Making your APIs popular with developers relate to obtaining control of Java, if at all?
I don't know what it means to control Java. How can somebody control Java? What does that mean?
Is it your testimony that you have no idea what that means?
To control Java? I don't think anyone can control Java. It's like saying controlling BASIC or COBOL.
See, he's being he's really making it clear that you have to be very specific. You have to really spell it out. They will twist anything and everything unless you absolutely lay it out. Okay, here I skipped a little. I moved up a little bit just to let you hear this.
Not recalling the specifics of the interview is that it's very unlikely I would make a statement like that without some common understanding between myself and the reporter of what that term, which out of context is incredibly ambiguous, what it meant in the context of her series of questions.
And just to be sure I understand it, what you're saying is that you don't remember what the definition was, and you don't even remember that there was a definition, but you believe there must have been a definition or you wouldn't have been using these words. Is that fair?
There must have been a common understanding. I wouldn't say a definition.
How would that common understanding have been arrived at, other than through a definition?
Come on, Bill. You can
Well,
do
somebody
it.
can give examples. I'm just saying there doesn't have to be a formal definition for two people to have a context in a conversation of what a word means. That is, neither one has to say, I define the word as follows. So maybe I interpreted your use of the word definition too strictly.
Okay.
So if you define definition for this conversation in a loose way, then I'll understand what you mean.
That is, what you need in order to understand the question is to have me define what is meant by definition,
At least loosely.
but what I mean by...
Okay, see, so he knows that you have to be very specific. No one can just assume that when they see a word that it's what you are assuming it is a common understanding. their interpretation, their definition, very specific. So we have to take everything that we see, their words, their parables, their entertainment, and we have to look at it through their eyes as how they want us to interpret it. So Captain Hook's saying he's a codfish and he's got this time in his hands. I don't know, guys. Conduit is cod unit, information technology. This goes a lot deeper than just a little cartoon. So cod 57, 132, and 22. V is 22 and MAGA is 22. Do you see the V there? So the letter V or 5 has a lot more significance, I think, than a lot of people realize. So V in the gematria equals 22, but it's also the Roman numeral 5, and 5 is 42 in simple gematria, or gematria, and 42 equals fish, war, 9, sin, new, sick. It also equals delta. So fish in V in 5, and you say codfish, it's kind of like code fish. But anyhow, when we're back to looking at Blackbeard, it kind of is all tying up to look like the IT is trying to win out here. So here we have, for the U.S. Air Force, we also have there's a pentagram, which means 5 pointed there, and there's the V also. Okay, so I just want to show you a little bit about the letter V. Again, it's the Roman sign for the number 5, and it's also a pentagram, which is also the little Mr. Baphomet here. And what's kind of interesting is we've got the pentagon. You've got that and that. I mean, they don't look too far unalike, do they? And pentagon, the number pentagon, because it's so close to pentagram, is in op agent. An op agent. Operations, OP is for operations. So in op agent. So I'm looking at the letter N, 40, 84, 14. Amaga. So Amaga in Jewish gematria is 40, English gematria is 138, and AIM also has the same numbers. God, I wonder if we're going to be a target. Oops, I didn't show the bottom half there. So Amaga in simple gematria is 23. And when you add that up, it's 5. 2 plus 3 is 5. I don't know. Is it all a mistake? Who knows? But there's a big military presence, isn't there? You've got our Stars and Stripes guys. And their logo has a V. And this Air Force Materiel Command, that looks like a V with a little pentagon. I'm just saying, it doesn't look like it's all an accident. Okay, so we were talking about the V and pirates and all this stuff, but look, this is Captain Hook in the gematria down the very bottom, the 113, Kobe Bryant, and Apocalypse. Remember, Apocalypse is just the revealing. 113. You got Trumpet here is also 113. Remember Kobe? His nickname was Black Mamba. Okay, well, sorry you guys, you all might be so tired of these numbers, but I'm just saying if you look at some similarities between Kobe Bryant, and the reason why we bring up Kobe Bryant was because it was Black Mamba, which equaled the same anagram as Blackbeard. I'm sorry, not the anagram, but the gematria. The anagram for Blackbeard was B-Dark Cable. But we're going to get into the government part of this, or at least there's NASA. This is an interesting thing. And remember when Bill Gates talked about content provider, and they mentioned Disney being a good content provider? Well, he says no pixie dust. And I'll get more into this actual document, what it is. So this is the document. Dennis M. Bushnell, Chief Scientist of NASA Langley Research Center. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because they're basically in this saying that they have the right to use us as like scientific, like subjects in science experiments. Here. So it's future strategic issues, future warfare, circa 2025. So you know what the National Aeronautics and Space Administration is, right? That's NASA. Hey you guys, so I guess this can be a part 2 or B of Pirates, part 2, and we're talking about this NASA future strategic issues, future warfare circa 2025 by Dennis M. Bushnell, Chief Scientist of NASA Langley Research Center. So the publication date was 2001 July. So that's one. Look at, there's a 17 in there. That's our favorite number right now. And look at all the topics. All the topics. Whoops, this covers. What did I just do? Let me read them. National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, transhumanism, superhumanism, posthumanism, the singularity, superintelligence, virtual reality, virtual worlds, biotechnology, bioengineering, biohacking, genetic engineering, that would be on us, biohacking, genetic engineering, directed evolution, life extension, nanotechnology, nanoassemblers, living factories, robots, flesh-eating robots, robot swarms, self-replicating robots, replicators, nanobots, cyborgs, cybernetic organisms, artificial life, artificial neural networks, dreaming neural nets, artificial intelligence, AI, quantum computers, terraforming drones, microchip implants, brain chips, Air Force 2025, torture, terrorism, bioterrorism, biowarfare, biowar, CNN syndrome, psychological warfare, Psy-war, information warfare, IW, I don't even know what that is yet, I haven't looked at that, Infowar, thanks Alex, information dominance, robotic warfare, robo-war, space warfare, space war, military superiority, open, so anyhow, so, you know, when they want to call people paranoid, and they've got this NASA document out, and yet here's all the topics that they're discussing, and they're using all this against us, and people think that we're crazy to even think or talk about this, it just kind of pisses you off a little bit. Okay, and this says Dennis M. Bushnell is the chief scientist at NASA's Langley Research Center. So they have a page for him if you want to look it up. We're going to get in here. I'm going to look inside real quick. And thanks to Liberty and Truth who uploaded this. I appreciate this very much. So this first page, Future Strategic Issues, Future Warfare, circa 2025. I have to say one thing. I just want to say, for everyone who keeps saying, trust the plan, just have faith, you follow the Bible, you believe everything that's happening by the Bible, let me tell you, if you're the person buying the ingredients and you're the person making up the recipes, you can easily tell everyone what's for dinner. So don't think that things are just happening to us, that this is the plan, this is the prophecy. They've planned all this stuff. This is proof. Oh, and of course, look, they've got 113 pages. Do you think that's an accident? Nothing is an accident. Look at all that 113. Kobe Bryant, Captain Hook, Abomination, Grandfather, as in time. Well, that's not 113, but that's attached. Apocalypse, Trumpet, Black Game Star, Election Day, Black and White, The End Bible Code, The Answer. Believe me, they've thought of all of this. So the bots, Borgs, and humans welcome you to 2025. So bots, Borgs, and humans could be Mason's robust HB, which is short for hemoglobin, the oxygen carrying capacity of the red blood cells. So, it is a war on oxygen, right? Remember that? The breathe with the event 201. So this is, it says this presentation based on futures work for and with. You've got, I'm just reading bits and pieces of this, but USAF, you've got just all the National Research Council, Army After Next, whatever that is, DARPA, which DARPA, I've read about a patent that they have to spray a vector of virus all over. You've got a lot of the military stuff in here. I'll give you all the links so you can read this yourself. Oh yeah, and you notice the little finger quotes there, futures. It's like Bill Gates, like you have to be really descriptive on what you're really meaning, but look at the anagram for futures. I mean, take your pick. It's either FU uterus or your fetus. And talk about the depopulation program going on. So their little agenda to depopulate and get everything in the lab. Okay, so on page 4 of 113, this states, this presentation is meant to incite thought discussion, is based in all cases upon existing data, trends, analysis, technologies, e.g. no pixie dust. Now when you think of pixie, what do you think of? Probably Disney with Peter Pan's little Tinkerbell. So provide in some cases a somewhat broader view of perspective, development, and issues. So pixie dust, when they have things in all caps or little quotations, we're going to go look at it. So no pixie dust could be anagrammed as unitized pox. That would be to make all one unit, kind of like a universal pandemic, like something we're seeing now. And a dioxin setup. An example of a dioxin would be Agent Orange. So I looked real quickly about more into dioxins, and Gives you things that looks like heart disease, developmental complications, diabetes, compromised immune systems, disrupt reproductive functions. How convenient for them, huh? Little fetus and uterus people. Let's see. However, a small group hinted possible problems in the wider population who have been shown to have low levels of dioxin fat deposits, usually from eating polluted food. This little article goes on to say that dioxin penetrates cell walls and changes DNA so that DNA sends unpredictable messages. Anyhow, you can do research on that. You can also look up Agent Orange. I looked it up for you. So Agent Orange also contains small variable proportions. Talked about something called dioxin, which is a byproduct manufacture of 2,4,5-T and is toxic even in minute quantities. So here's Tinkerbell, and they also nickname her Miss Bell, as in misspell. So think about that when you're looking at words and how they're being presented to you. So when you Google or search J.M. Barrie, because he's the one that wrote Peter Pan, when you look at pirates, Peter Pan is what comes up, and Peter Pan notoriously has that Captain Hook in it. Okay, so now my internet just went out. So enemy after next blue, I'm seeing refutable enemy next, or this is just part of it, a fey externment. An externment is a person connected with but not living in an institution, which you could kind of see that we are all in an externment situation. And a fey externment, the definition of fey, and this was the Merriam-Webster dictionary, marked by a foreboding of death or calamity. And then right after I posted that right here, all of a sudden I don't have an internet. It went out. So could it be a lube blue fey externment? I also got the word nebule out of this, which is composed of successive short curves made to resemble a cloud. Kind of like what you see with HARP, and I've covered that before, right? The HARP waves, and talk about short curves, flatten the curve. Anyhow, we're trying to see why I'm not connected suddenly. So, hang on. Plug it in. That's interesting because nobody's moved. Okay, so Faye, fated to die. So, also, fairy is a fae. And you're looking at, they're calling Tinkerbell a fairy. So, is she sort of symbolic that, and remember how I mentioned that when you're the person shopping for the ingredients and creating the menu, you can tell everyone what's on the dinner plate coming on. So next yum fable entree. So they get to make up the stories, and we're the ingredients that are being used. We're almost finished, you guys. I'm just going to go over this one page and I'll save the next pages for later. So when they talk about enemy after next in blue, inputs to new procurement decision, 15 years to produce, 40 years in inventory. Heads up for Intel community, watches and warnings. Like those kind of watches or clocks, like tick-tock. Oh yeah, you guys, I'm sorry, I forgot this again on page 1. Forgot to look at the word capabilities of the enemy after next. So capabilities could be IT space alibi, like they need to go look in space, or IT alibi is space, when in fact the IT excuse of being in space to actually look at us. Information technology, spying. So on page 4 here, we've got the heads up for Intel community. So heads up could be ashed up, like burnt up, or a pushed. We're a pushed community. Do you feel it? So we can look at the watches and warnings equals CNN warheads wasting. Or this is interesting, I find, is, let me fix this. Wisps, I think that's how you say it, wisps in carnage dawns. And remember I mentioned the in earlier in this video? Remember it came up in this? Pentagon in op agent, operation agent. And remember in is 40 for MAGA, actually 23. And they're the same numbers used for AIM, but anyhow, back to in. It also means cable ace. So a MAGA, fake die. Okay, back to that keyword. So back to this is the watches and warnings anagram, wisp in carnage dawn. So this is a card game. It's Whist is a classic English trick-taking card game. Whist marker, it almost looks like a clock, like that tick-tock clock that Mr. Captain Hook had. Rue. And it says, although while rules are simple, there's a scope for scientific play. Whist is a descendant of the 16th century game of trump or rough. I thought that was funny. Trump. He's got his hands in a lot of stuff. So trump is the same gematria numerology as mountain. That's where we get our M from, the mountain. Trump 2020, also 88. Sorry about that focus or lack of. Now this word will come into play later, you guys. I'm not going to hit on it tonight. It's just too long, but it's significant. And here we go, Lord Inky and Trump and Inky. Whoops, sorry about that. It's kind of messed up. That goes back to the octopus, the octopi, the 8. There's Ray, General Ray, who's doing all the satellite defense work. And this will explain most of it, bloodline. That's what it all comes down to. And that's interesting. Window. Window, like Mr. Gates. Okay, so back to this game. Whist is a descendant of the 16th century game of trump or rough. Whist replaced the popular variant of trump known as rough. And honors. The game takes its name from the 17th century. That's 17. Remember, it means New World Order, NWO. 17 written out. Or whist, meaning quiet, silent, attentive. Sorry about the camera work. Attentive, which is the root of modern wistful. So it talks about by the party of gentlemen who frequented the coffee house. Coffee houses, you guys. That's going to be significant because Starbucks comes into this, and Starbucks was kind of founded up in the northern coast of the west coast, up in I guess it's Oregon, and a lot of our defense companies come from there. A lot. like Seattle. A lot come from there. So a standard 52 card pack is used. I wonder why they use 52 specifically. So the final card, which belongs to the dealer, the other word for dealer in anagram is leader, is turned face up to indicate which suit is trumps. The turned up trump card remains face up on the table until it is the dealer's turn to play. Dealers is the word leader. Leaders. The leader's turn to play to the first trick. The deal advances clockwise. There's your little clock. And here's a little picture of them playing. And they talk about the Women's Whist Club Congress. 1906, that's 6-6. So play continues until all 13 tricks are played. And funny that there's 13 Illuminati families that rule this world. Kind of weird. I just found this kind of a little interesting. This is a little coin that they're shown to Hanover, and there's, see the guy's like, it's got a little crown. That's weird. I wonder if the to Hanover is to hand over. So we'll go back to this going in assumptions. Politics can do. Oh, and just looking at going in, the anagram is like noggin, noggin. So like what they're doing to our brains right now. Anybody aware of all that? Sorry, I'll go back to the reading. Politics does change overnight, e.g. Russia, Iran, Pakistan, whatever. Potential capabilities. We already mentioned the word capabilities. Remember IT alibi space or IT space alibi. So I think that they're using space as like an exploring of space just as an alibi to actually use their blue beam weapons or their frequency weapons. Let's look at the word overnight since it's in quotes. Everything that's in quotes we need to look at. Remember what Gates said? So overnight equals T hovering. Maybe that's Trump with his little telescope hovering over everybody with his little space program. What do you think about that? All those little satellites he's got in the air, all those little Starlinks. Okay, you guys, you know what? I'm gonna cut this now. It's gone way long, and my next video we're gonna start looking at this page. Need to plan differently. What they're doing, and this is just the tip of it. So signing off. Next time it'll be Pirates number 3, and we'll go from there. Okay, be good.